Wife is with AP at hotel right now. Should I show up tomorrow morning at breakfast? The fact that my wife is now in bed with her AP at a fancy hotel. It is 11 p.m. where I am, is a matter of fact. Background: I discovered her extramarital affair in January. When I asked her whether the relationship had continued after I found it, she responded by imploring me to give her another chance. I've always told her that I'm aware that she's still seeing him, but she adamantly denies it and maintains that she has nothing to do with him. We signed an amicable separation agreement last week, which has yet to be recognized by the court, but she still believes she loves me and wants me to give our relationship another chance. That I didn't believe her sincerity, that she had lied to me far too many times, and that I no longer trusted her. She cried out in frustration. Last night, she told me she needed to disconnect and that she was going to a hotel with a female friend for one night to get away from everything. I'm well aware that this is a fabrication and that she is banning her AP right now. The location of her accommodation, which is not the one she indicated she would use, is known to me. The question: I'm tempted to go to breakfast at the hotel the next morning, simply to see the two of them arrive looking wonderful and comfortable after their morning. Question: if I happen to see them, or if they happen to see me, I will just wave and smile while continuing to sip my orange juice and read the morning newspaper. The more serious side of me believes that I'm acting childishly and that I should just get over it. Another, childish, part of me argues that after all of this suffering and sorrow, I should not deprive myself of this minor, coupe de theater, and take pleasure in the amusing sight of the deer trapped in the headlights of the car. What would you do if you found yourself in my position? As of right now, I'm going to bed, but I'll check back in 8 hours to see if there have been any answers. Edit: it seems that the majority of people believe I should go ahead and do it. That's okay with me. I'll take a cab to the hotel to check in. After dropping the kids off at school, kissing their foreheads and wishing them a happy day is something I have to do as a decent parent. It is as a consequence of this that I will not be able to join you for breakfast anytime soon. Hopefully, they are not the kind to get up early in the morning. But the real question is whether or not they will order room service when they arrive. I estimate that I have a 40–50% probability of seeing them if all other factors are taken into consideration. We'll just have to wait and see how things turn out. My blogging experience is limited. Should I publish an update later today as a revision to this article, or should I begin a new one? Update: my intention to travel to the hotel was written down when I got up this morning, with a 40–50% likelihood that everything would go according to plan. What I was most concerned about was whether or not they would take room service. I'm going to let fate decide how this plays out, I wrote. It turns out that fate interfered in a unique and fascinating way in this situation. I left the kids off at school and got at the hotel at 8:15 p.m. I checked into the motel. Due to the fact that the space was mainly unoccupied, I chose an ideal spot with a view of the doorway and a table that was immediately between the two enormous rooms that housed all of the inside seats. I was pleased with my choice. The view from the outside sitting area is really spectacular. My plan was to bring a huge wide newspaper and make a hole in the center of it so that when the two came, I could position the newspaper in front of my face and still see where they were going to sit. This morning's breakfast consisted of my pain au chocolat 4 pieces, a lovely chocolate, and a slice of banana cake. Following the promise of orange juice along with the usual cup of coffee, the event began. This was the first time I had the sensation of being a police officer in a Hollywood film. I went through my wife's WhatsApp messages to discover when she had been last seen. She is in fact fully awake. Of course she's awake, They're slapping each other about. Simply said, patience is required. To shorten a long story short, I had to wait for 4 to 5 hours before I could go. The average heart rate is 160 beats per minute. I knew I had to go to the bathroom at some time, but there was no way I was going to leave my guard post. Breakfast time ended about 11 a.m., and none of the two showed up for it. It's a real shame. According to reports, they did, after all, request room service. It seems that today is not my fortunate day. Is it possible that I was completely incorrect, and she is in fact staying with her female friend at the other hotel? At this stage, there is no question that uncertainty starts to creep in. In order to get out of here, I have to go to the bathroom, sling the newspaper under my arm, and dejectedly stroll out the door, not forgetting to pay the equivalent of $1.40 for my opulent dinner. But hang on a sec. I did have a contingency plan in place. Before leaving the house this morning, I made sure to pick up my wife's passport. So I proceeded to the reception desk and told the guy there that Mr. Last Name of AP had directed me to bring him the passport I was now in possession of, which I did. I asked him to check him up on the internet. After a few moments of stumbling, the person asks me for AP first name, which I happen to know, but there is still no pleasure. "Oh, they're leaving right now, see," says the receptionist, gesturing behind me, just as I was about to respond, "Maybe it's under a different name," and tell him my wife's last name. When I turn around, there's my wife waiting for me at the exit, which is just a few steps away from me. Although she is alone herself, she is patiently waiting for the valet to bring her car over. She's turning her look away from the camera. My curiosity is piqued as to whether she saw me. Damn, I'm so close, and I was even conversing with the receptionist a minute ago. She, on the other hand, continues to look the other way. I give her a sideways look. I'm on the verge of puking. The automobile pulls up. She turns and goes away. After about 2 seconds, I had to decide whether or not to say hi to her and see what she said in response. App, on the other hand, was not present. Unfortunately, there was no coup de theater to save the situation. I stayed deafeningly silent. I told myself that I'd tell her later today when I had more time. For now, I was just interested in seeing her reaction when we both got home. In case you're wondering, when I got home, she was all loving and hugging me and told me she'd been thinking a lot about the two of us and that she wants to change her life drastically. However, I did get the ultimate confirmation I had been seeking, i.e. that all her promises that she still loves me, that she removed AP from her life, and that she wants to restart our relationship were just a big mound of stinking BS. The wife slept in a room that had been marked as AP. Everything I needed to know was provided to me. When I returned home, the temperature was much lower than usual. We remained in the same house for more than 4 months while we worked out an amicable separation agreement. I haven't informed the children about this yet. Although I was in the thick of my suffering, I believe I still had some optimism that she was genuine about starting the relationship. I guess deep down, I was harboring the insane fantasy that everything was just a bad dream, and that one day I'd wake up and life would be back to how it had been before D-Day, and that I could and would love her as intensely as I had done in those photographs from the past 16 years that Google Photos, this day X years ago, kept pinging me with day after day after day after day. Those photos that I'd eat while sobbing alone in my bed in the guest room every night, because I suppose I enjoy pain, are what I'm talking about. I get what you're saying. It's just absurd. However, I'm sure many of you are aware of the fact that intense pain may impair awareness and logical decision-making abilities. I told my wife that we would be separating and moving into separate dwellings in just a couple of days' time. All has already been pre-regulated in our separation agreement. Either one of us has the right to request this any time. We'll tell the kids about it the next day. A new age has begun. The time has come to finally pull the plug on this project. Due to my apprehension about the pain of extracting it, the bad tooth had been left to die in my mouth for an extended period of time. Finally, it is time to put a stop to this nonsense once and for all. I was in the middle of composing this when my wife walked in and said she wanted to talk. I feel that now is the right moment to notify her that I was standing exactly behind her this morning as she left the house. Alternatively, I might just remain silent and allow her to wonder why I'm making such significant decisions all of a sudden. I'm not sure what to say. I'm thinking I'll simply play it by ear. Yes, I realize this is the most illogical way to go about things, but I just don't give about it right now.